Hello everyone, David here with Galvan Roofing. I'm going to show you how to read your insurance settlement and go over it and why it's important to choose local when hiring a roofer here in the Coastal Bend. So first off, let me show this to you. This is called an Xactimate report. So what's important is we use the same kind of software and everything that your insurance uses. So that way, if ever there is something wrong, we can redo it the correct way and we can also send it back to them. Now, if you notice on here, on the top of this, okay, they have what's called an Eagle View on here. It shows the measurements of your roof. It shows your surface area, your perimeter, your hip length, has all the information you need as far as your roof goes, how many squares it is, total ridge length, okay? Then on here, it's gonna have everything there is on your roof, okay? Everything from the roofing felt to the field shingles, the hip and ridge shingles, your valley metal, your pipe jacks. It has every line item on here that you're going to use in order to be able to install your roof. So the thing is we got to make sure that everything is on here and they didn't miss anything. That's the reason why they do everything line itemized. So if you look here, first you have your quantity, okay, of your shingles. It's 33.33 squares. Next, you have how much they're paying to be able to remove those 33.33 squares, okay? So they're going to pay you $263.11. Then they add their taxes in there. So your replacement cost value, RCV, stands for replacement cost value. That's how much your shingles are valued at in today's market, okay? So if you have your replacement cost value, $9,077. Here is depreciation. So they're going to take away the amount that, depending on the age of your roof. If your roof is about 15 years old, then it's about 50% old. So they'll take away 50% of that 9,000. If it's older than that, and let's say it's 20 years old, then they're going to do higher and higher. So that's going to depend how high your depreciation is. So on your depreciation over here, you have $7,261.88. So they're going to withhold that money, that depreciation, okay? Next, you have your actual cash value. This is saying what the shingles are valued at in today's market, okay? So that's what they give you for your actual cash value. And they do the same thing on every single line item, from roofing felt to your starter shingles. And it's important that you show your roofer this information because they're going to make sure it was done correctly. For example, we have roofing felt, 15 pound. We can prove that they're synthetic on this roof. So when we tear off, we can have pictures, show, and synthetic material because we want to go back with the way it was done. So if they had synthetic on there, we want to get paid for synthetic because we're going to put that more expensive product on there. We don't want to use a cheap product, okay? So we would go ahead and tell them that they forgot synthetic, okay? Then when we go to the next page, over here is another big mistake they made. So they have solar panels on this home. They have 18, it says 18 solar panels. So there's actually 30. We have the pictures. We can prove it that they have 30 solar panels on their actual roof. So those are things that we will help you with to make sure that you get the right amount. Something else, when you look at this, it tells you on here, we want you to receive quality repair work to restore the damages to your property. All right. We'll provide you with a detailed estimate, which is what I just showed you, a scope of work of damages and costs for the repairs. The contractor you select may have questions concerning our estimate. They should contact our claims representative directly. So what we would do when there's issues like what we found here is we're going to contact them directly. And then it also says on here, if you cannot have the repairs completed by the repair replacement cost estimate, please contact your claim specialist prior to beginning repairs. So if there is any issues or concerns, we're going to go ahead and make that right, and we're going to go ahead and talk to them. So that's how you read it for a roof. Now, when we turn the page and we come back to the summary page, I want to show that to you guys. All right. So here's your summary page. So right here says the line item total, okay? $21,597.72. Then you have your sales tax, $425.13. So it's a total of $22,022.85. Now they're depreciating, so they're taking it out there, less depreciation, including taxes. So now they're going to deduct that from that total. So $12,745. That's why it's in open parentheses, because they're just subtracting that from the $22,000. Now this is the customer's deductible. Okay, less deductible, $8,247. So they're only writing a check for $1,030.40. Okay, because when you subtract the deductible plus the depreciation, that's over $20,000. And basically that's what you have left, $1,030.40. So that's what they're writing the first check out for. When the roof is completed and we can prove that the deductible has been paid, then they'll send us that remaining check of $12,745. Okay, so that's basically how that works. So it's basically saying the insurance is saying we're going to send you out a total of $13,775.85, even though it's going to cost you $22,022 to do your roof, because you're responsible for that deductible, which is $8,247. Okay, so this is one of the reasons why for you guys to hire a contractor who's familiar with this. Okay, so that way they can go ahead and do this. So when you have contractors that say don't you shouldn't have to show your contractor the paperwork, okay, it's because they're saying that because they don't know how to work in a hailstorm or a windstorm or anything else. They only know how to do retail, and they figure that's what you want to hear. A lot of people think, okay, well, I have it for $22,022.85. So if I can find somebody to do it cheaper than that $22,000, I'm going to save money on my deductible. So what if I can find somebody to do it for $18,000? That's half of my deductible. That's $4,000. So here's what happens. I told you at the end, when we send out the final invoice, they're going to send out that depreciation, right? That $12,745. All right. So what happens is when I send out my final invoice and it's cheaper than that, and I do it for 18, the insurance is going to say, thank you, Mr. or Mrs. Customer, for saving us money. We were willing to pay 22, but I find a contractor to do 18. So we're going to go ahead and pocket that money, and that way you can go ahead and take care of your contractor and get everything taken care of. And that's what they're going to say. That's basically how they do it. Okay, so there is no pocketing money. So when people say they need 3 estimates, you know what I mean, a good, better, best, whatever, why would you want to pay the cheapest person to do your roof? Why is somebody $4,000 cheaper than the average person? Because that's how this Xactimate is written, in the middle ground. There's some contractors that want to charge really high and may charge $30,000. There's some contractors that are going to charge really low. $22,000 is in the middle. So why would you want to hire somebody who's going to be the cheapest? And why are they cheaper? Why is somebody $4,000 cheaper than the average contractor in the middle throughout the United States? Why? It doesn't make any sense. They're going to go ahead and they're going to cut corners. They got to make money somehow. So they may use cheaper products, cheaper materials. They may not change things out they should change out. They may not even know the processes. I told you on why you should hire local. So we had it, I saw it on Facebook just yesterday. I had somebody from Austin come over to check out my roof. Okay. And the first question I asked them is, are you going to pull a WPI8? And they said, well, what's a WPI8? And they had no idea. And they said, well, who are you going to use as an engineer? Well, we don't know about an engineer, you know? And so they had no idea. If the customer didn't know to ask the right questions to this out-of-town person and they actually hired them, then what would happen? They would do their roof. They wouldn't follow our coastal bend rules. They probably wouldn't have used hot dip nails. They probably would have only used 4 nails versus 6 nails. They wouldn't have done the thing. They would use regular metal on your drip instead of aluminum. You know, they wouldn't have done everything. And then all of a sudden they would have been gone. You would have paid them. Then what happens is they're going to come, you're going to want to sell your house someday. You're not even going to realize you didn't do this. So you're going to sell your house one day. They're going to say, where's your windstorm certificate? And they're going to say, oh, it's not in there? What do you mean it's not in there? Then you're going to try and contact that roofer. He's not going to be able to do it. And then what's going to end up happening is you're going to have to do that whole roof all over again because it wasn't done right the first time. It wasn't done right the first time. So, guys, I don't know about you, but when I'm hiring somebody and my insurance is going to take care of it 100%, and the only thing I'm responsible for is my deductible, I wanted to go with somebody who has the best reputation. I don't care what the price is because it doesn't matter. I don't care if my roof is 20,000 or 100,000. If I'm only responsible for my deductible, whatever that may be, I'm going to pay that whether it's somebody who's 5,000, 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, 40,000, or 50,000, or 100,000. It doesn't matter. I'd rather find somebody to do it 100,000 because I know they're going to use all the best materials, all the best of everything, and make sure everything gets done correctly. And the insurance isn't going to let any old contractor just poke their eyes. They're only going to go off of if they did forget things. And I can legitimately show and prove that they forgot things off of the scope of work that should be paid for. Let's say they forgot fencing. They said they forgot windows that are broken. I could show them all that stuff, send it back to them, write it in the exact same report, a report that they understand, and then make sure to get all those items paid for. So your roofer is responsible to receive your deductible, your first check, your ACV, your actual cash value, the depreciation at the end, and also any additional supplements that they will work towards to make sure that they're able to do everything for you and make it right for you. Okay, so it's very important. A lot of people say, well, I found a roofer that will cover my deductible. First off, how the heck is he able to do that? I mean, there's no way. $8,000. And that's less than the material and the labor and everything else. You know what I mean? I'm not going to pay $2,000 or $3,000 to do your roof. I'm sorry. It's just not the way it works. But what they do is they're cutting corners. They're not getting the engineer. They're using cheaper products. They're using a lot of the same materials and putting it down. They may not tear off your roof and they just put shingles over shingles. There's certain things that they will do to cut corners and not get you the quality roof that you deserve. Okay, guys. We had so many questions on insurance and why we do this and how come we don't do estimates. Guys, we'll do estimates. If you want a retail estimate and you want to go that route, that's totally up to you. The difference between us on insurance estimates and retail estimates is if it's a retail estimate, we expect to get paid the day that we finish the job and we're 100% done. That's when we expect to get paid. When we're working with insurance, if they did not pay enough, we're going to get that money for you. We're gonna make sure to go back and forth with the insurance to make sure, show them the proof and everything else of line items that they forgot. Then at the end of the day, it takes about a week or two for you to get that final depreciation check. And so we're basically financing you up front because we know once we're done, we're going to have to send off the invoice to your insurance. The insurance is going to then turn within about a week or so and give you the check, and it's going to have your name plus your mortgage company. Then once you get that check, you're going to have to send that check off to your mortgage company. Then they're going to deposit that, and then they're going to write you an additional check that's written directly to you. Then from there, you got to deposit that check. Some people, their banks will say, hey, this is a larger check. We got to take, a full week till it deposits, maybe 2 weeks till it deposits to make sure that everything clears out before we can actually do that. So we've waited sometimes a month, 6 weeks to get that final paycheck because of all those processes that we just talked about, guys. And so that's the reason why insurance pays a little bit better than retail, is for that reason. There's a lot more headaches, a lot more hoops to jump through. There's a lot more work on our end that we're going to do to make sure that you go back and before the storm ever happened, we're gonna make your house whole again, back to the precondition of before the storm ever even happened. So that's what we're here for, guys. Galvan Roofing and Construction. We'd love to help you. 361-444-5606. Our office is in Corpus Christi. We're located right behind Sam's Club over on Williams Drive. You can come to our office, come and visit with us. We always have people here answering the phones. So if there's anything that we can do for you, please let us know. Thank you, guys.